Hello and welcome to Glasgow Rangers Nation with me, your host Owen James, the channel that brings you your team every single day, guys. This is your match preview as we build up to Thursday night's game between Rangers and Nice out in the south of France, the lovely south of France. In Nice, I bet the weather is a lot nicer out there than it is here in the UK, although I haven't looked, so it could well be pissing it down with rain in Nice, although I very much doubt the south of France is like that. Rangers go head to head with the French team. And we're going to look today in this video a bit about the French team. We're going to find out a little bit more about them. You're on the learning journey with me. I've been looking at their results, looking at their league tables, looking at their strengths, looking at one of their top players, Evan Guessant, as well. I'll also talk to you a little bit about a possible my Rangers lineup, which I think will be nowhere near what Philippe Clement's Rangers lineup will be once it is named tomorrow. Obviously around about 6:45. 7 o'clock ish tomorrow before the 8 o'clock kickoff in this at the Allianz Riviera. That's right, the stadium has got the rather exotic name of the Allianz Riviera. It's a very nice looking stadium, isn't it? It's a very nice looking stadium. That red and black, their colours, and Allianz Riviera. So it's like got the Allianz Arena in Munich. This is the Allianz Riviera, nice looking stadium. Big ground as well. I doubt it'd be full. A lot of French games aren't full. There's not a huge massive following of football in club football in France, other than some of the big teams like Olympique Marseille, Paris Saint-Germain, for example. So what do we know about Nice? Well, we know that obviously they qualified for the Europa League. We know that they were formerly managed by Francesco Farioli, now with Ajax. But in terms of them at this moment in time now, they are currently managed by a guy called Frank Heis. He is French, has previously managed clubs like Caen, Lorient, Lens, and now is at Nice. In terms of his managerial record, he's obviously just taken over as the Nice manager on July the 1st. He's got a 31% win percentage. He previously had a 47% win percentage with Lens, where he was there for 4 years. In terms of what type of team are Nice, what are they like as a side? This is some information I managed to dig up on them. So what are their strengths, what are their weaknesses, what's their style of play? So their strengths are they like to create chances using through balls. So they'll look to obviously slot the ball through. They'll look to play the ball through the midfield quickly, which obviously has been one of Rangers' weaknesses this season, particularly in that game against Lyon, where Lyon quite easily played through us. So I think there's going to be a need for Raskin and Barron as that midfield pivot too, to keep it nice and tight, obviously lock down that midfield. There's also going to be that need, I think, to keep the back four in a line, to make sure the back four are communicating, staying together. So, I mean, looking at that, in terms of that through balls thing, I think one of the things you're then going to say is there's not a chance, there's no way that he can start James Tavernier tomorrow. If he does that, then we're going to get ripped to pieces. Which we did against Lyon when Tavernier played. And Nice are very similar in style in the way they play to Lyon as well. And I think in terms of talent as well, very, very similar indeed. They're good at creating scoring chances. They're good at stealing the ball from the opposition, so defensively very strong there. They're good at coming back from losing positions, so they're not a team that you can write off. So even if you get a 1 goal up against them or 2-1 up against them or 2-0, you cannot write them off. They will come back onto you. They're very good from set pieces, unlike Rangers, who are very poor at set pieces. Very good at counter-attacking as well. So, if it is that we can obviously, get onto them and attack them, it's going to something we're going to have to watch going the other way, which again for me means you cannot play James Tavernier because he's not fast enough to get back. And that's something we definitely need to do. Have that ability to really be close and be tight against those counter-attacks. What are their weaknesses? Avoiding offside. My God, have they got 11 serial Dessers playing for them? Avoiding individual errors. So there is some players that, make a lot of errors, and defending against long shots. So that may be an encouragement for the likes of Bayrami and Tierney, who are not afraid to take a dig from distance. So, maybe that's something to encourage those two. And if we've done our homework, and if we've obviously done our video watching that obviously goes on before games, hopefully that is something that's been picked up on by the Rangers coaches, and that's something that they'll be encouraging Bayrami and Tierney to do. In terms of style of play, the attack through the middle, which, again, it's about keeping those two centre-halves together. Again, if Tav plays, it means Suter gets pulled out of position, which creates a massive gap, which therefore plays into Nice's hands. the more I read of this scouting report of them, the more it is just absolutely vital that Rangers do not start Tav tomorrow night. They attempt through balls often. They take a lot of shots, so they're not afraid to have a dig. They're not afraid to try. Playing in their own half, they're very strong at that. They like to play out from the back. They are non-aggressive as well. So they're not a team that are going to kick you off the park or try and turn it into a fight or a dirty game of football. They're a team who wants to play football, which on the other hand may suit Rangers, because we often find, don't we, that when we play in Europe and that we're up against a team that actually want to play football against us, we perform better. We do perform better, because it is the low block, it is the physicality, it is that Scottish hammer thrower style that we do struggle up against. And the fact that Nice want to play a game of football and actually pass it out from the back, use the ball well, is encouraging. Some stats now from them. Their top scorer is Evan Gasson, which we'll talk a little bit about him shortly. He scored 6 goals. Cho is second with 2. Maluku with 2. Sofiane Diop, who is another top player, with 2. Klaus, not Santa, with 1. Appearances, Gasson, Burka, who is their goalkeeper, Cho, Rosario and Bombito are their top appearance getters, but Gasson obviously has 12 games appeared. Assists, Santa Claus is their top assister, 3. Gasson also good with assists, as is Sofiane Diop. Top players in terms of ratings, again, Evan Gasson comes out top. J. Klaus comes out second. Badoui, Bulka and Mbele, the ex-Tottenham player. Aggression-wise, Dante, the former Bayern Munich defender, very aggressive at the back, 5 yellow cards. He's a central defender. Now, in terms of shape and formation, I was looking through that this morning, doing a bit of research into how they like to play, and what I found? They play a couple of different formations. They change shape. They depend on who they're playing. That's how they adapt the game. Bloody hell, it's almost evolutionary, revolutionary. If only Philippe Clement could do the same. So 3-4-3 is their preferred formation. That's the way they prefer to line up, as a 3-4-3, although they can also line up as a 4-4-2. So, that's... Again, it could be a difference in style. It could be a difference in the way they play. It could mean anything in terms of how they line up. Now, if we go back to their last league game, they played with the 3-4-3. So they had Bulka in goal. They had Ndushimi, Bombito, and Bard as their defender. They had Klaus on the right, Rosario, and Dembele and Abdi in the midfield, and a front 3 of Cho, Boga, and Gasson were their players up top. So, again, it could be a 3-4-3, it could be a 4-4-2. It all very much depends on how they line up and how they want to play. And, it's interesting, isn't it, that we've got a situation where they can adapt and they can change, yet obviously we can't. Jonathan Klaus, or Claus, or whatever he's called, he's French. He is a right back by position, plays as a right wing back in this shape for Nice. He's played previously for Marseille, for Lens, for Arminia Bielefeld, for Avranches. He's had a long career. He's 32 years old. In terms of his statistics this season, this is his first season at Nice. He's had 14 appearances and a goal this year. In his career, 393 appearances, 40 goals. So not bad for a right back in a top league. So, decent player. But in terms of their top player, seemingly from their ratings and from what you read and what you see, Evan Gasson is their top rated boy. He is the top player. Evan Gasson, he is an Ivory Coast international, has had 1 cap for the Ivory Coast, so maybe familiar with the Diomande. Maybe these two guys know each other. I think there's a very strong chance that they know each other. He's 23 years old. He was born in France but has Ivory Coast citizenship. He's 6'1". He's big. He's quick. He's direct. He can shrug people off. He's very skillful. Started his career with Nice and has come through their youth system. When it has had loan spells at Lausanne and at Nantes. Lausanne are a sister club of Nice, who are owned by Ineos. The guys who own part-own Manchester United. He did play through the French underage groups, under 16, 17, 18 and 19 level. And he's had 1 cap for the Ivory Coast. In terms of his statistics with Nice this season, they're very impressive. They are very impressive statistics for him this season in terms of him as a player. I mean, you look at his league form in Ligue 1. He's played 12 times for them in Ligue 1. He's scored 6 goals and 2 assists, 8 goal contributions in 12 played all of the starting 11s, 95% of the minutes, and has had a 35% goal participation rate. So qualifies, so, is very much a player that, is a big part of their attacking prowess. Europa League, he's not been as done as well. He's only had his four appearances, but yet to trouble the scorers with goals or assists, but has only played in half of their starting 11s in the Europa League. Interesting, that one. Indeed. The other guy, obviously, that is up front for them is Cho. He's Mohamed Ali Cho. He's 20 years old. They've got a lot of very young players in this team. This is a 12 million rated right winger. He, in the Europa League, has 3 appearances, 1 goal, and in the league, 10 appearances, 2 goals. So another young player up and coming, very much in sort of that model that Nice are following at this moment in time. They're open, they're attacking, they like to get after teams. Now, they've not had the most impressive of seasons in the Europa League. In Ligue 1, however, they do sit 5th. They've played 12 games, they've won 5, drawn 5, and only lost 2 games. Scored 23, conceded 12, so just a goal a game, 11 goal plus 11 goal difference. Their form in the last 5 games is pretty decent. They're unbeaten, a draw, 2 wins, another draw, and then a win last time out. So their form's pretty decent. Overall, if you look across their form, they lost 1-0 to Ferencváros in the Europa League. We'll talk a bit more specifically about the Europa League in a minute. They beat Monaco, who are near the top of the league, 2-1. Monaco were down to 10 men. They beat the fantastically named Brest, the same Brest that Abdallah Sima plays for, 1-0. They drew 2-2 with Twente in the Europa League, 2-2 with Lille in the Ligue 1, and last time out in their last league game they beat Strasbourg 2-1. Break it down a bit further into the Europa League campaign. Now, they've really struggled in the Europa League this season, and they sit 31st out of 32, which, if you consider the Rangers sit in the top half of the table, it's a pretty dodgy result, and they're not playing particularly well. But then again, we do sit above Lyon, who outplayed us last time we played them. So it's difficult to kind of assess this Europa League, I think, with the way it's sort of organised. But their results have not been too impressive. 1-1 with Sociedad, which I suppose, last season that would have been a decent result. Sociedad looked a decent team. This season, Sociedad are not looking as good. Losing 4-1 away in Rome to Lazio. Well, I don't think there's any shame in that, because Lazio are a pretty decent side. Ferencváros, they lost 1-0 to, which was a bit of a surprise. It was away. And then last time out at home, they drew 2-2 with Sam Lammers Twente. I think Lammers actually scored in that game as well. Both teams had players sent off. They play us next, and then obviously after that, it's Union Saint-Gilloise, who we all also play as well. But, their Europa League form is not too impressive, and that hopefully will give Rangers some encouragement. Going into this game on Thursday night, it really should. Like I said, losing to Lazio, for them, no real shame in that. Lazio do sit top of the Europa League table, are a very good side. So, look, at the end of the day, there's no shame in that. But, like I said, the other results have not been too clever at all. I mean, this is the current Europa League table as it stands at this moment in time. So you can see that Lazio sit first on 12 points, Ajax second on 10 points, Galatasaray third, Frankfurt fourth, Anderlecht fifth, Athletic Club sixth, Tottenham seventh, and rather weirdly, I don't know how, FCSB have won 3 out of their 4 games, only losing to us and looking absolutely shocking against us. So perhaps that means that result against them wasn't as bad as we first thought. Lyon do actually sit above us, but how they sit behind FCSB, God only knows. We're 10th, Olympiakos 11th, Bodo Glimt 12th, Midtjylland 13th, Ferencváros 14th, Manchester United down in 15th. But I would expect to see an uplift in Man United's form now that Ruben Amorim has gone in as manager. Victoria Plitzen in 16th, Alkmaar in 17th, Besiktas, Van Bronckhorst's Besiktas in 18th, Hoffenheim in 19th, Roma in 20th, but that hurts with Lazio being top. Fenerbahce 21st, Porto 22nd, Slavia Prague 23rd, Elfsborg, is that where all the Elves live? 24th, Sociedad 25th, Braga 26th, Twente 27th, Malmo 28th, Karabag 29th, San Gilwar 30th, Nice in 31st, RFS, isn't that a furniture shop? 32nd, PAOK of Greece 33rd, Ludogorets 34th, Maccabi Tel Aviv in 35th, and Dynamo Kiev. Yes, the same Dynamo Kiev that knocked us out of the Champions League sit rock bottom with 4 defeats out of 4. Wow. God, that's pretty exhausting, isn't it? I'm going through in that one. Really, genuinely is. But that's how the Europa League table looks. So, I think if you look at league position, if you look at their form in the Europa League away from their French league form, there's encouragement there for Rangers. And, as I said on multiple podcasts, as down as we are about Rangers in domestic football, it seems when it comes to European football, we seem to be a different beast, a different team. I mean, I'd almost go as far as to say that, if perhaps we'd founded an Atlantic League with Ajax, Feyenoord, PSV Eindhoven, Genk, Bruges, Anderlecht, Gassan-Gilloise, the Portuguese teams, maybe we'd be doing better this season because we seem to be better against foreign teams. We really do, rather than against domestic Scottish teams where we really seem to struggle. Maybe it's because to them, Rangers isn't such a cup final. It's not such a big thing. Whereas playing Rangers in Scottish football is a massive thing. It's a cup final for virtually all teams. So, that could be part of it. I don't know. I'm just kind of guessing on this one. But, look, I'd be encouraged by that. I really would. I'd be encouraged by, the results that Nice have got in the Europa League this season. I'd also be encouraged by the fact that we went away to Olympiacos and got a draw. There's certainly no shame in that whatsoever. Like I said, Nice, Sam Lammers did actually score in that Europa League group game against us. Let's have a quick look, shall we, at that group game against Sam Lammers 20. Bless him. Why did Sam never do this for us? I don't know. Perhaps because he wasn't playing in his right position, maybe. I don't know. I'm kind of guessing at that one. I don't know. It could be anything. So there we go. A 2-2 against Twente last time out. Twente took the lead. And that's the thing, what I said about them coming from behind. If you forgive the pun. Dan Rotz scored first. Lammers scored second. And then they came back. Even though they had a player sent off in the 70th minute, they still managed to come back. Boga and Cho with the goals. Fairly evenly matched game by the looks of things. In terms of the lineup, Nice's lineup in that game was that 3-4-3 that they had. Diop was sent off, so maybe he will be suspended for today's game. No Guessand in that lineup either, interestingly enough. Mwoko, Laborde, Bard, Ndombele, Kamara, Luche, Bombito, Ndashimi, Dante and Bulka, who is their keeper. Very good keeper, by the way. So maybe... Just maybe, I don't know, perhaps Guessand won't play. Hopefully he won't because he's one of their better players. But overall, you've got to say that there should be hope for Rangers going into this game. There really should, given that performance. Their form in the Europa League, as my phone keeps on going. I suppose I've got Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, on constant thing, keeping my eye on what's going on in the world of football. Let's have a quick look at, my suggested Rangers lineup for tomorrow night. Now, obviously, that is the lineup that I originally picked. The ideas that I originally had have been somewhat clouded by the fact the B team played last night. So the likelihood of Finlay Curtis, Zach Lovelace, etc. getting a game are very minimal, especially after Lovelace was forced off after 35 minutes with what looks like yet another injury. Is the boy turning into Kamaru? Jesus. It's bad news. It's bad news for Zach. It's bad news for Rangers, especially, as Lovelace looked great in those games. In the last that game where he was asked to be taken off so we could have him for the A team. He plays some minutes for the A team against St Johnstone, then he seems to disappear again. So getting injured will certainly set his development back. And, he's a top player. He really is. And it's such a shame. Obviously, is the fact that Finlay Curtis played in that game, scored yet again. You've really got to ask the question, what the hell does Finlay Curtis have to do to get into the A team? The guy is scoring goals for fun, assisting goals for fun down in that B team. He's been the man of the match in virtually every game, playing everyone off the park, looking a class above. Yet Philippe Clement seems to be oblivious to the fact. It's just ridiculous. And especially as, Curtis can play wide right, wide left. And the one thing we're struggling for at the moment is wingers, because we're playing a number 10 on the left wing. I don't know. I think it just shows what we all know, that Philippe Clement has about as much brain, has about as much intelligence as a boiled potato. He really does. This is my suggested lineup for the game against Nice. Look, I've gone for I wouldn't personally play a 4-2-3-1, but Clement is going to play a 4-2-3-1 because he won't change his formation, will he? So obviously I'm going to go with Jack Butland in goal and the captain. Dijon Sterling has to start at right back. Looking at the scouting report on Nice and looking at the type of team that they are, we cannot play Tav we just can't. I think he will, don't get me wrong. I think he will. In terms of he will actually play Tav. I think he'll start Tav, and I think he'll start Dessers, which against a team like Nice is a massive, massive mistake. And I think it just shows that he hasn't learned. The team look a lot better without Dessers, look a lot better without Tavernier. We look quicker, we look more mobile, we look more able to play the game. We played better in the second half with no Dessers on the pitch. Obviously, there was no Tav on the pitch. If he starts them both, it just shows that the guy is just thick and he's not learning. He's just not learning. He's just not learning. It's almost like we're smashing our heads off a brick wall trying to get him to learn. Suter and Balogun for me as the central two. Big Leon, again, proper. I just think he's too dodgy up against these quick Nice forwards. He was run off for the goal on Saturday. He looks like a bomb scare every time he gets the ball. His distribution is poor. Whereas Big Leon, I'm biased towards Big Leon. I love Big Leon. He's fast, he's quick, he's strong, his communication is excellent. I think him and Suter will tie down that central midfield. And given the fact they like to play through balls through, they like to, attack down the middle. That solid four in the middle of Barron, Raskin, Balogun and Suter, I think just locks that middle down for me. I'm going to start Ridvan at left back because I think he's the best left back at the club. He's good defensively. He's good going forward. And I think if you put Hefte in front of him, you give that a great chance to overlap. And if Ridvan goes, Hefte can drop. If Hefte goes, Ridvan drops. You've got a good fluidity there in the attack and a good link there. And Hefte brings something we don't have in this team a lot of in attacking areas. Pace, pace, pace. Barron and Raskin hold down that middle. Bayrami in the 10 role. Put him in the 10 role. Stick him in the 10 role. Let him play and create and tie their back three up and cause them problems. Link with Igman. I've gone with Igman up front. Why? Because Igman can hold the ball up. And that's what we need to get out in this game. Ball up to Igman, hold it up. Tierney, Bayrami, Hefte, bomb on. Go past, create overloads with 4-on-3s. It to me makes sense. You play Dessers up there, he can't hold the ball up. It's going to come back at you all the time. It's his major weakness. You just can't. I'm sorry. He just is not good enough. He just is hopeless. Tierney on the right, and I think with Sterling behind him, it gives him more license to get forward. He hasn't got to slow down and wait for slow arse to catch him up. He hasn't got to constantly run back and cover. So for me, Tierney's got to start on the right. That for me is a strong starting lineup. That's how I think we should line up tomorrow night, because I think, like I said, I'm not particularly scared of this team. I'm not particularly worried about this team that we're playing from that aspect. We got a draw in Olympiacos. Yes, their league form is good, but their Europa League form is poor. I just genuinely think that this is a game that we could actually go and get something out of that no one expects us to go and get something out of. Just like, when we went to Betis last season. So I do think that is this type of game. Now, in terms of what I think Clement will do is this. I think Clement will go with this lineup and I think we'll lose, or at best draw. Tavernier at right back, who'll get ripped a new one. Suter proper, who'll get ripped apart. Hefte on the as left back, that's fair enough. Barron, Raskin and Diomande, he will start Dio in the middle. Dio is not a 10. That's not his natural position. He'll look lost again. He'll look crap for 45 minutes and then he'll probably get yanked. Tierney on the right, Bayrami will be on the left, who will again look lost because he's not a left winger, and Dessers up front, who won't hold the ball up. That for me will be the lineup. That's how I think Clement will line up, because the guy just doesn't learn. He's just plain thick. Look, it worries me how thick Clement is. It really does worry me. How he just doesn't seem to learn and doesn't seem to kind of see what everyone can see. It's not just me, and it's not just me being anti-Dessers and anti-Tav. If you listen to pundits, who watch Rangers play, ex-players, Kevin Thompson, Chris Boyd, people like that who talk about the team on a regular basis, and they say the same, that we've looked better without Dessers and Tav on the pitch. We've looked more fluid, we've looked quicker, we've looked more certain, we've looked more attacking, we've looked more aggressive. We just look a better team, and we're not pulled out of position constantly. This is what these guys are saying. These guys are ex-pros who've played the game, who understand the game. So, all you pro-Tav, pro-Dessers guys out there, listen to the experts. Listen to Kevin Thompson. Listen to Chris Boyd. Listen to Lee Wallace. Listen to people like that who know what they're talking about. It just winds me up. It really genuinely does wind me up when you've got people who, just are playing wrong on this and just can't see, And there's a number of people in this fan base and within the podcast world as well, and who've got this opinion of Dessers that he's a top forward. He just isn't. People who've actually, like I said, Chris Boyd, who is a top forward in Scotland. He was a good forward in Scotland. Yes, he wasn't great in Europe, but in Scotland he was a top forward. He scored a lot of goals. Does not rate Dessers. You've got all the boys over at Heart and Hand all saying the same thing. These are guys that know this club inside out, saying he isn't good enough for this team. These are the people we should be listening to at the end of the day. People who actually know what they're talking about. People who actually, like I said with Thompson and with Boyd, who've played the game, who understand what it is to play for Rangers, understand how to play for Rangers. Right, predictions for tomorrow night. I'm going to go for, if my team was to play, 2-1 Rangers. If Clement's team wins, I think plays at best it's a 1-1. At best it's a 1-1. Guys, let me know your thoughts and your comments, obviously, on the team, on your team news, what you think about our opponents, what you think about the probable team that Clement will play. Who would you play? Who would you not play? Give me all your comments, all your thoughts on this. All the information, obviously, where you can find us on social media is now scrolling along the bottom of the page. So you can find us on X. You can find us on where else? X is at OJGRN72. On Instagram, it's Glasgow Rangers Nation. On TikTok, it's also OJGRN72, and it's Glasgow Rangers Nation. If you just search that, you can find us. We have a Facebook group, which we're getting going as well. All those places you can find us, guys. So please, obviously, get in touch. Right, what other announcements have I got? If you haven't checked out this morning's video, there is a video out currently which is called Draining the Swamp, very Trump-esque. We also did a live this morning as well. If you haven't caught that, that's the live. Muscat doesn't want Rangers job. Some very interesting fan opinions in the live chat in that one. Some very, very deluded fans in there. And then this evening, you control the agenda from 5 Q&A fan forum even. That is from 7:05 this evening. You can find us on there. That's the slide to look for, Q&A fan forum. Come on, you control the agenda. You can have your comments, your questions answered. It's all about you tonight in that. I mean, I often will sit and I'll make a massive, huge wedge of notes for a podcast about what I want to talk about. Where are they? Massive wedge of notes about what I want to talk about. But, at the end of the day, tonight it's all about you. It's about what you want. It's about how you want to decide it. Guys, thank you so much for watching Glasgow Rangers Nation. As always, the things that make a difference, smash the like, that helps. Drop a comment, that helps. The more comments, more likes on a video, the better the video does. Share. I'm sure you've all got social media accounts you can share the videos on. Subscribe if you haven't subbed. All that great stuff, guys. All helps out, helps the channel to grow. Your support is phenomenal. This is your channel as well as mine. One Rangers family. We are the people.